Hi guys, Cymru and byth. That means Wales forever. FYI, brushing up on a bit of Welsh. Credit to Jade Lloyd. She's on Instagram. Just her channel. I think she's on YouTube as well, but just teaching us all a bit of Welsh because it's a difficult language. There's no vowels at all, and you might be going, "Oh yeah, well that's just a different language." But particularly being someone trying to speak Irish, we go the opposite. We use a lot of vowels, right? So, you ever seen our names? Aoife, like however you're spelling that, you still have literally A-E-I-O. Only letter, only vowel you're missing is the U. So, I'm doing my best, but you're not making it easy for an Irish speaker. I'm not bad. I did honours Irish for the leaving cert. I'm not a Gaeilgeoir, that being a fluent Irish speaker, but I try and speak it as much as I can now. And if I'm making these videos, I like to do it. And the French video I made like was in French, which I was like, I won't translate actually. Let's see if I can figure it out. Like it's good to keep your mind busy and just a side note to look at different languages and how they phrase things, you know. Plus, if you want to be romantic, French is the language of love, as they say. Don't know what Welsh is now. The language of rugby. We use that. The Welsh will love me saying that. But yeah, can the Welsh spoil the mighty French? I'm calling them Les Grands Bleus because they are huge. They're massive, the French team, and I fear Wales will not be able to cope with that. It's kind of sad. I'm kind of like, well, the Welsh won't be a threat for Ireland, so that's a good thing. But at the same time, when you think of Welsh teams of old, like this is kind of sad to see it. You know, it's almost like a great species going extinct in a way. Because I remember like Welsh teams that I would have grown up watching. You had the likes of James Cook, Stephen Jones, you had Jamie Robertson flying form, uh, Gavin Henson, who just couldn't seem to keep himself out of the headlines for all the wrong reasons, you know, just a really poorly disciplined guy. But I mean, I've seen videos that have changed my opinion of him. I think he was struggling with his head, and people just kept hammering into him. And you know, it's a tough sport, and being young and the world at your feet, all the women into him, you know, he let that get the better of him. What a player he could have been. But like the likes of Alex Catbet, George North, Lee Halfpenny, of course. And as much as I hate Mike Phillips, no hate's a strong word, but he was a little mouthpiece. Not actually as little as you think. He's a taller scrum half, but he was such a yappy fucker, wasn't he? He was always onto the ref. He was always trying to wind up the other team. Found it a bit harsh before. Like, there's a clip of Mike Phillips knocking the ball on into his man and then playing it, and he was offside. And Donegal Callahan patted him on the head and pushed him. I kind of thought, well, Mike Phillips does that to everyone. But of course, Wayne Barnes giving a penalty against Ireland. I don't get where people come from when they say he loves Ireland. I think he penalises us more harshly than anyone. Um, but sure, look, but you look at Welsh teams, me being a former back rower, used to be an open side. There's no hope in hell of me playing there now. I'm either a six or a second row. And I have played in the front row for two games. Two games, that's it. I've played fucking everywhere. Like I've played centre as well, first centre as a distributor, more of a crash ball. Like I prefer just running it direct. Played in the wing as well. Might give scrum half a go next. But yeah, like the back row was something that I always admired about Wales. The likes of Dan Lydiate, then you Talupe Faletau, and of course Sam Warburton being one of my favourites. Alan Wynne Jones, of course, and whoever you wanted to put in next to him, the second row. Didn't really matter who you picked. He was the main man, but kind of needed a bigger, stronger fella just to, beefcake like Jake Ball put in there. I always think when they had Getan Jenkins, there's some names that I just can't say without a Welsh accent because I'm so used to hearing them on the commentary. Like, I'll try to say Getan Jenkins without a Welsh accent, and Adam Jones, very good front rowers, and then you had Hugh Bennett and Matthew Rees. Like the front row has always been a weaker area for Wales. I always felt like back row they were always fairly decent. And even now, like they look pretty good. Like you got Aaron Wainwright, you've got Jac Morgan, but no Morgan Morris. Morgan Morris was literally the top of every stat. Like, and I'm gonna go back into the ORC webpage just to show you because I love that webpage. But I'm gonna go through the Welsh squad today and see if they've got a hope in hell of getting a result against France and as well not finishing bottom of the Six Nations because Italy are on the up. You know, Italy will not be any pushovers. Share my screen now with you and we'll have a look at Wales. Cymru. Yeah, so I watch the ORC, so I know most of these players. Some of them I'm not really very familiar with because they play in the Aviva Premiership, Gallagher Premiership as it is now. Every name keeps changing. It's annoying me. Everything that I knew, like Twickenham is Twickenham, I'm not changing that. Millennium Stadium, it's the Millennium, you know, and I'm sure Welsh fans will agree with me. It's iconic as the Millennium. I'm not calling it anything else. I don't care whatever people want to call it. Nah, the Principality. Nah, it's the Millennium. Millennium. God, did Kieran Nasserati, James Bolton looks like a good player, another good back rower. Don't know if anyone remembers that massive shot he put in on Alex Dombrand. And Dombrand, of course, being tipped as this big, strong ball carrier, but James Bolton made mincemeat of him, like destroyed him in a tackle. So he's one of those big kind of, I would say more so blindside that can put in a big hit on you. I think with Wales, they don't really have the ability to go with like a kind of Ryan Baird, Ollie Chesham, um, a hybrid player. Peter Steph Toy, of course, being the best that you can put as a second row or as a blindside flanker. Wales don't really have that option unless they want to kind of do it with Shunza. Hope I got that right. I thought it was Chris, but it's Christ Shunza. I think they pronounce it Christ, not Christ, but sure, calling yourself Christ is a bit is a bit arrogant, isn't it? It's like the way in Spain and South America, Jesus. It's like me calling myself Jesus. But anyway, Chris Shunza, because I thought it was Chris, so we go with Chris. Garrett Thomas, the loose head. Never thought he was great against Australia now in the World Cup. He dominated Pony Faumasili. So, but that was Australia being woeful. Like Wales were hammered by South Africa and also Australia by 30 plus points, 52-20 against Australia and South Africa, brushed them aside with no issues either. Like it's not been good. It can't be understated how bad Welsh rugby is at the moment. Um, in a very bad place. Looking at this now, I don't see any Dewi Lake. Surely he's in the team. Is he injured? They're not picking him now. That is insane. I literally would have thought he was a foregone conclusion. As I've said in previous videos, he would be like one of my only sure Welsh players in the Lions tour. I think he's the one who's putting his hand up and saying, pick me because I deserve to be picked. And I wouldn't argue with that, but they're not going with them. I'm shocked to see that, I have to say. So that means Elliot D will be the hooker, I would imagine. Um, that's a good Welsh name there, isn't it? Daffod Jenkins. Fine if you're ever doing a Welsh accent, you've got to say the names. If you do it and just say random shit, you end up slipping into Jamaican or Indian. It's like when people are trying to do an Irish accent. Ever anyone watch Sausage Party and you see Kristen Wiig? I'm quite Irie, don't you know? So many cringy Irish accents out there, so forgive me if I do a cringy Welsh one, but I'll do my best. I did learn a bit of Welsh for this, FYI. Nosan Calan Gaeaf. Is that like Happy Halloween as well? Noson Calan Gaeaf. I think that's Happy Halloween in Welsh, so there's a little bit as well. I like to make the effort for these videos. Just gonna look at the yeah, I'm doing a little run through. Josh Hathaway looks like a decent player. If anyone remembers, he kind of humiliated Sia Khaleesi, who lifted him up and just carried him back over the try line, which is quite impressive. Josh Adams. Josh Adams always looks like he's dazed, doesn't he? He's always walking around like he's going to fall over. But he's been a mainstay in that Welsh team for a while. Ben Thomas looks like an alright player. Nick Tompkins has his moments. Owen Watkin the same, but Owen Watkin needs to learn to tackle lower. Again, another incident with Sia Khaleesi where he just went in with his shoulder up and Khaleesi floored him, and he nearly got a card for it as well. Liam Williams, Liam Williams, to put all the Williamses down at the bottom. The Welsh are like us in that sense, like you've got your Irish names, mine being one of them, Daniel Byrne. Byrne is a very common Irish name, but then you've got O'Brien, Murphy, of course, O'Reilly. And then in Wales, you'd have Williams, Thomas, Evans, another common one, Jones, being a good one. Not seeing as many Joneses though. Maybe that's why they're not doing as well. We have any Joneses in the Welsh squad. That's why they're not winning. Calling it now. It's because there's no Joneses playing for Wales. Alan Wynne Jones being the best, and you had Ryan Jones, was a captain for a while, really good player. Stephen Jones, there we are. Adam Jones, I already mentioned. No, I didn't mention him. That's why I've solved the problem. You guys need to get more Joneses back in the team. James, that seems to be a common one as well. Um, Literally all the players I was hoping to see in this team. So I was hoping to see Morgan Morris and Dewi Lake. Jac Morgan now was there, which is good. Aaron Wainwright is there. But I mean, Dewi Lake and Morgan Morris, why are they not in the team? Are they injured? They must be, because if they're not, I would be shocked. Here we are. There's Adam Jones now. Let's see what he has to say. He's a Welsh great, not the most exciting player, but really good tight head, did what he needed to do. And anyone remember that try he got against South Africa where he had literally from the goalpost to the touchline to run it in from the 22, and everybody was like, go on, go on. He was running as fast as he could, and everybody was like, go on, dive in the corner, go on. And we were all cheering him on. And he got in the end, so great to see. Andy Powell as well has to be one of the funniest players you'll ever come across. I actually think, just a side note, Andy Powell is kind of what I think Irish rugby is missing. A character, like they talk about Mac Hansen, but he's Australian. That's the thing I notice in Irish rugby is it's very dry, it's quite serious, and there's no surprises, including in the squad. Now, obviously, we're much better than Wales at the minute, but I think we're lacking a lot of personality in the team. No Rio Dyer either, huh? Let's see what Adam Jones has to say. I'm not going to spend ages reading through it. I'll leave it up there for you guys to read. And I'll just kind of read what he's saying. So this is Adam Jones now. It's good to be back, and I guess what I bring is a different voice. I've been to Paris and done okay, and I've been there and had my backside handed to me. It's a tough place to go, said Jones. We have to go there with a plan. We want to take them on, and we don't want to give them anything. No easy outs. That's massive in France, especially around the atmosphere and with how much they feed off the crowd. They feed off the energy, and it's key we don't give them that. And of course, Adam Jones, yeah, winning 3 Grand Slams. That's when I'm like the team I'm talking about. You had Scott Williams in the centres, you had Jamie Roberts as well, Alex Cooper on the wing, George North on the other wing, Lee Halfpenny, your fullback, like unbelievable team. Um, is insanely good. James Hook and Stephen Jones, I think we're kind of, yeah, they were getting on at this point, but Lee Halfpenny was kicking from the tee. It's interesting, Henri. What else he goes on to say? Gats is brilliant. Warren Gatland. Gats is brilliant at playing the underdog card, bringing players and teams together in a very short space of time and getting results out of them. Adam Jones. There is some experience coming back. Talupe Falatau, Liam Williams, and Josh Adams. We're pretty confident we can go out there and do a decent job. We know we have to go out there, go at them, and try to keep the crowd silent. Good luck with that. It's a key thing to silence the crowd in Paris, and if you could do that, that's half the battle done. Sounds a bit like what Oliver Reed says to Russell Crowe in the film Gladiator, but it's true. We want to go there and win. As long as players don't listen to the outside noises or read some of the tripe that's written, we'll be okay. Ironic that one of the people writing the most tripe is a guy called Stephen Jones, who was not the former Welsh great, but he's a negative bastard. I've read a lot of stuff from him, and he's always, like, I know I say a bit of negative stuff, but my God, he's calling everybody out. Um, you check his articles out if you're into rugby, but don't expect anything positive. It's always very negative. Yeah, so yeah, geez, not giving him the five caps. It's very cutthroat, isn't it? Um, I remember that before there was a bit of a fallout with Gatland and a lot of players. Mike Phillips, who I was talking about there, he came out and said that he wasn't a big fan of Warren Gatland, and he says that he's, to put it in no uncertain terms, fucking up the Welsh team, and he's been there long enough. I always thought that everyone in Wales loved Warren Gatland, but apparently not the case. And I mean, players in that as well, they didn't seem to like him. They all keep saying that it was very easy to get dropped, and fall out with him. And I think of Eddie Jones like that. Eddie Jones has real small man syndrome where I'm the boss. I get to say whatever I want to you. And if you say anything bad to me, I drop you from the team. That real arrogant, bitchy type of attitude that Eddie Jones has. He's very quick to fall out with people. I'm not saying Warren Gatland is that bad. I don't think anyone is, but certainly not a content Welsh dressing room, it seems. Like, imagine leaving someone out when they've got five caps left to a century, whereas Ireland went out of their way to make sure Cian Healy broke the all time caps record. And he had nothing. Like, he still has nothing in the tank, like I've been saying it. I think, yeah, well done, you played very well, but they're literally just licking his arse by the looks of it and getting him every cap that they can, which I don't understand, but sure, look. Okay, Adam Jones goes on to say about Warren Gatland, we've kissed and made up. It got twisted a little bit when I finished, and I guess anyone who finishes their career is going to be a bit upset, said Jones. What he did for me as a player was huge. I wouldn't have gotten to 95 caps, won Grand Slams, and gone on the British and Irish Lions tours if he hadn't come in at that time and pushed me in the right direction. He got me to that level, and I will always be thankful for that. I'm happy to work with him because he had such a massive influence on my career. And look, love Adam Jones or hate him. I think who hates Adam Jones? You got to love him. That hair and that beard. He's such a lovable character. Um, he's respected. I think. How would you not respect him? He's a Welsh great, so he has to be. No doubt about it. Such a great player, and what he did, like in the scrum, he wasn't the quickest, wasn't the most exciting. It's actually a really good video of him trying to drop goal and missing it, of course. But look, it was funny. Yeah, sorry, this just brings us back to the squad, which I'm not very excited by. I must admit, in the same way I'm not excited about the Ireland squad. Go back into that again. Sorry, not excited at all. Yeah, him being the captain, being back. You're one that I mentioned, Jade Lloyd. We were chatting before, and she said that Jac Morgan is her favorite player. Go so far as to marry him, but he's a very good player, no doubt. Oh, news about Dan Edwards, who is a good player. Yeah, I think they've only gone with one out and out fly half, and that is Dan Edwards. If I was picking a Welsh squad, like, I mean, as you say, it's not a great team to select from. Yeah, I didn't fancy their chances to begin with, and I fancy them even less now. This squad, I don't know what he's doing, Warren Gatland. If I was picking, yeah, front row is going to be the hardest area, but I would go with Elliot D. I know what he's like. He seems like a decent enough player. Not world class, but he is reliable. good throw. He always does a little dummy pump. You're kind of going, it's not a free kick because he's always looking like he's dummying. Dewi Lake does something similar, not quite as obvious, but yeah. Sam Parry, I think, is another hooker, but yeah, Nicky Smith, a loose head, Garrett Thomas, another loose head. The tie heads being Kieran Asarati, Will Griff John, who, as I say, looks like Tarzan but plays like Jane. He's always posting these gym videos, but I've seen him get absolutely manhandled in scrums. Uh, Kemsley Matthias is another prop. Again, not great. I really think they're going to get manhandled against France. I can't see a positive in the pack, at least, except for having, well, with the second row we'll go with first. Will Rowlands makes a lot of tackles, is a real workhorse, puts himself about. And then I would say Chris Shunza as well. Those two in the second row, pretty solid. And plus, that means you get to have Jac Morgan in the team. I would have Jac Morgan. I might even put him at six, then put Tommy Rafael at open side. And yeah, Aaron Wainwright I would go with as number eight. Faletau I know was really good. A fan of his, and I think Faletau is the type of player that you would say he's not world class, but you would have him in every team because of the work rate that he has. But he's getting on now. Um, I think he can bring impact off the bench. I'd say you go with a young team, and I think it's an exciting back row to have. I think Aaron Wainwright has basically been, I always say pick of a bad bunch. Like the Dragons are quite poor. Watch them against Munster. They had a few good low tackles, but they were quite poor. Let's call a spade a spade. I would have brought Dan Lydiate because he still looks like he has a few good shots in him, and him and Faletau bringing experience off the bench is certainly good to have. Like the way Ireland keep dragging, holding on to the old players that we don't need anymore because we have the depth. Wales don't, and yet they're not picking. Yeah, they're not picking the really good players, But they could have a good back row and second row. There's no reason why they couldn't have that. You know, I would go big in the back row because that's an area where they might beat France. The French, as I said in the video that I made about them, like that they don't like ruck and they like a really messy, expansive, open game. They're unstructured and that's where they're good because you got Dupont, you've got really good runners. FYI, I must say, um, I was informed because I was talking about two players whose praises I was singing. Thibaut Flamand, who I'm a huge fan of, is not going to be playing for France in the first game, which is really sad. So that's a plus for Wales, minus for France. So I don't know what they're going to do with the second row. Paul Boudon can play in there, big man, another player whose praises I've been singing. He's impressive and he's a handsome man. He's got big arms as well. He's dreamy. Um, I would go with Roman Taufi Fanua. Imagine him and Emmanuel Miafu in the second row. Oh my God, that's a dream team if ever I saw one. You want to go for firepower, which France have. I would go with that second row partnership. I think it's exciting. Just go for raw power. Two the big Polynesian lads in second row fucking shit up. And if that's the case, then Wales are going to be in for a rough, rough night. Um, and then Damien Penaud, geez, that's a big one, isn't it? Damien Penaud not being there, but I think there was kind of a debate for me. I don't know if it was for the French team as well, but over who plays on the wings. So BL Barry's been playing really well, but you also have Gabin Villiers. I would keep BL Barry on the left wing, and I would put Gabin Villiers on the right wing. Little terrier, always competing for everything. I think he's got a point to prove. He was absolutely brilliant when he burst onto the scene. He's dropped off significantly. Um, so I think, yeah, for France, they're not short on depth. The problem for Wales is that I think they will get beaten up in the pack. France have literally the perfect blend, massive forwards who can trample over you, and then really skillful backs that will just throw the ball around. They're hardy though; they can make big tackles. They've so much depth, like it's unbelievable. Similar to South Africa, The French are a team that will really benefit from a 6-2 split. I don't think you could say the same for this Welsh team. I think 5-3, you kind of go with. Although maybe what you want to do is you want to try and match that because your forwards are going to get so battered, which they will. There's no denying that. Yeah, that's going to be very rough. Dafford Jenkins is another second row. No Adam Beard in this team either. Uh, is he injured? Please let me know. Although maybe if you were to go with, you could do a six. Yeah, you could do a 6-2 split, and then you'll be able to have Dafford Jenkins on the bench as a replacement second row. I would go Chris Shunza and Will Rowlands. I think that's a very fit and exciting second row partnership. Um, Dafford Jenkins has a lot of energy. He's quite young still, so you can have him on the bench. I don't know. I really can't pick the front row. They're very poor in the front row, Wales. That's an area where I'd be very concerned because France are the opposite. They're very stacked in the front row. So, like, I would start Kieran Asarati at tight head. Um, I would go with Garrett Thomas as the loose head, and then Elliot D as the hooker. As for the replacement, I suppose Will Griff John, you have him, then Sam Parry for the replacement hooker, and Nicky Smith. Yeah, Nicky Smith is kind of reliable. So could be between him and Garrett Thomas, but I would go with Garrett Thomas. He's normally starting. Nicky Smith's a little older as well, I think. Let me know in the comments. And I know the Welsh people love their rugby, so let me know what you think in the comments. But I'm going to go into the ORC webpage now in a second after I just finish on this because who would I go with in the back line? I would start Thomas Williams, scrum half, anyway. Fly half, Dan Edwards is a very good player. I would go with him. And Ben Thomas play at centre. I think he can, and he's been very good, really good stats in the ORC as well, which I'll show you in a sec. Owen Watkin, it'll probably be Owen Watkin and Nick Tompkins in the centre, and then Liam Williams, put him fullback, Josh Adams and Blair Murray perhaps on the wings. Although maybe what you could do is you could put Blair Murray at fullback, and you could put Liam Williams and Josh Adams on the wings. Yeah, then Rodri Williams' replacement scrum half. Ben Thomas is kind of a good utility back because I know he can play fly half, and he has done for Cardiff, but he can also play in the centres and I believe fullback. As I say, don't claim to know it all. If you know what it is, let me know. Josh Hathaway is a good player as well, but I would go try and test it with Josh Adams and Liam Williams. Then you have Josh Hathaway. It all depends on what you do. Like you could go for that 6-2 split, in which case it would be Rodri Williams and Ben Thomas from the two backs that you'd have. And I mean, they might need to because the firepower that France are bringing is so big that you get players going down, no doubt about it. And particularly in the forwards, like I know we could say the back line, but I think the back line will just be outplayed, even though there are a few good backs in that team, I have to say. But you will definitely get beaten up in the forwards. France are unbelievably powerful in the forwards, and the Welsh forwards are going to need a raider. And if that's the case, 6-2 split would be ideal. Yeah. No, it's getting itch on my lip. Trimmed up the tash and it's just giving me a little itch. So that's enough of that anyway. Daunting task ahead of Wales. No two ways about it. They want to go for the win, I would say 6-2 split because you're going to have a problem with you're going to have a problem with the forwards getting beaten up as you think about having to tackle the likes of Wayne Antonio, Piero Movaca, Jean Baptiste Gros, George Henri Coulomb, Cyril Boy, Julian Marchand, Roman Taufi Vanua, Paul Boudon, Manuel Miafu, Gregory Aldrit, and Francois Crow. Like, oh, it's not going to be pretty. That's before they unload the bench on you. Here we are now. We'll accept. Stats. Players. Ioan Lloyd, leading point scorer. An interesting omission, unless he's injured, but then Dan Edwards, but I mean, he's in, so that's good to see. Yeah. Ben Thomas is one now that they've put in, and just want to see where he is because I know he kicks as well from the tee. Ioan Lloyd tops that now, and see where Ben Thomas is. Is he even on this list? Blair Murray, Gareth Davies. We keep looking for Ben Thomas. Now Tanis the Bear, Cam Winnis. Maybe Ben Thomas isn't kicking for them. Tanis the Bear and now can kick. He's the South African fly half for them. Callum Sheedy as well. Well, actually, why is he not there? Because he's been in the Welsh squad as well. The Ioan Lloyd play fly half. Um, Dan Edwards is very good, but I'm seeing here if Ben Thomas isn't kicking, he's not playing fly half. Then who are you going with a fly half? Like I heard they only had one specialist fly half in Dan Edwards, which I don't get. But look, that's the way it is. Remember him with a few cheap shots, Tame Basham, but he's getting a few tries at least. Josh McLeod as well. Watched him; he's a good defender. What I've seen. Harry Miller, don't know him. Um, I know Tane Basham and Josh McLeod, though, good players. Not the biggest fan of Tane Basham because he's throwing a few cheap shots in on Irish players, but yeah, I'm non biased. I'm non biased. Credit where it's due. Gareth Davies and Blair Murray. No Gareth Davies, which I'm surprised at, because he's been around for a while. Blair Murray is in, and he's an exciting attacking player. Defensively, I'd be a bit worried about him, but he's exciting to watch in attack, that's for sure. Whether you go with him on the wing or fullback, I don't know. Left wing or fullback, do you go with Liam Williams, who would be one of your safest options at fullback? Josh Adams on the right wing, of course. Or you could also do switcheroo, Josh Adams on the left wing, Liam Williams on the right wing, and Blair Murray at fullback. So he's got options there at least. Sam Perry scoring from hooker, I'd imagine, wouldn't he? Be a replacement hooker. It's the front row where I'm really concerned for Wales, especially against that massive French pack. Yeah, like look, successful carries, Morgan Morris leading the way. Watched his highlights to see he's a number eight. He seems like a very good one at that. Alan Lawrence, he's not in the team either. Ben Thomas, though, there we go. Must be playing him at centre. I haven't really watched Cardiff much, but he'll be big for them if they do play him. Depends on who they decide to start at centre. Because they're obviously going to go with Dan Edwards as the out and out fly half. You could use Ben Thomas as a utility back, I guess, but that all depends what you're looking for. Morgan Morris up here. Yeah, not doing too badly. We go down here. Kieran Williams, Jac Morgan. Again, Jac Morgan's a player that I'm excited to see. Rio Dyer didn't really do much against Munster, but he has his moments where he's very lethal in attack. They're not picking him again, though. 10 Plumtree, another player you could pick. And now Marnus van der Merwe. Sneaking suspicion that he's South African, though. Just a sneaking one. Yeah. Morgan Morris is tearing shit up. He's a very good player, and I've watched him. Wales have always had good back rowers. They've never been short of good back rowers, but this man has been playing amazingly well. Deserves at least a call up, I would have thought. You know, clean breaks. Simone gets got a good win against Ulster with Zebre Parma. Embarrassing for Ulster, at home to lose to Zebre. I think we all kind of thought it was a foregone conclusion. Most teams, when you play Zebre, are expecting a bonus point win at home. but they didn't get it. It's quite bad now for Ulster. Great for Zebre because we all know that Benetton are doing quite well. Clean breaks. You've got two players playing in Italian rugby. Gayse leading the way, which is very good, and then Rhino Smith, but he's South African scrum cap and he kicks, does a little backflip as well. Um, Rio Dyer up there, top Welsh player. Yeah, he had an interesting little altercation with the Cardiff replacement hooker. There's a little gouge thrown in there, wasn't there? Like where he put the fingers in the eyes anyway. Let me know what you think of that. Don't like to see that shit. Just gonna say it, Machiavelli, my pimpy. Don't like that stuff. Gouging is a scummy act. And why he didn't actually really get the fingers in the eyes. And I know, look, yeah, your man, the replacement. I don't know him. I haven't seen a replacement hooker for Cardiff before, but he was pulling his jersey. But there was a lot of animosity between Cardiff and the Sharks players. I think he was giving it, the little pat on the head, like giving it big smacks. Certainly aggravating the Cardiff players, and they were responding pretty badly as well. So it's just bad to see that shit in the game. Unsportsmanlike for both teams. Just gonna say it as it is. But anyway, let's get back to the rugby. Ioan Lloyd again is up there. Never been very convinced by him, but I certainly think he can give him an opportunity, see how he goes. Him and Dan Edwards are exciting looking players. Just haven't really clicked yet for Wales. Ospreys certainly look at times like they're a good team, but can they keep it up? That's the question. Thought they were up, like they were on the up last season, but they were easily beaten by a Munster side that never even had to get into second gear. It was a very easy win for Munster last season in the ORC before they crashed out against Glasgow. Mason Grady, he's another big fellow, like a big strong ball carrier, but he's not in the team either. Yeah, I don't know. Gatland seems to just be having a brain fart. Don't know. Don't know what he's at now. Be perfectly honest with you. Two Munster players leading, defenders beaten and meters gained. That's what we like to see. But I already made that argument in my Ireland review video, so we won't do it again. It was long enough. Cam Winnett's a small enough player, but he punches above his weight. He's a decent player, and obviously gained a lot of meters. Like he plays fullback, so he'd be carrying the ball back. And Mike Haley is a fullback as well. I'm pretty sure Geronimo Prishantelli, I hope I pronounced that right, and the Italians let me know. I worked for an Italian guy, so picked up a little bit, just constantly hearing va bene, va bene. For anyone who doesn't know, Italians came over to Ireland and started up chippers. You get fish and chips. It's better than English fish and chips, and I'm not just being biased. It is better because they cook it in lard. Oh, when I worked in the kitchen preparing the food, I used to be like, I want to take all this food home with me, and that's why we have the situation we have now. I couldn't stop eating the dinner boxes. They used to let me take them all home with me for free. Any of the chicken we didn't sell that day, and I was like, yes, please. Nobody else wanted. I was like, I'll fucking eat it. Don't worry. But back onto rugby when I wasn't bulking for rugby. Yeah, Cam Winnett is a safe pair of hands. Quite a good player under the high ball. Sammy Radradra fucking clattered him. Jack Welch seems to be popping up a lot as well. Haven't seen much of him, but any times I have seen him, he's looked very decent, very safe with the ball in hand, and obviously doing quite well in that regard. Ioan Lloyd is up there again. Blair Murray, Keelan Giles, yeah, another player omitted from the team. Morgan Morris is in there again. It seems like a lot of these international Six Nations squads are not picking the players who have the best stats. You have the best stats, so we're not picking you. Makes sense, doesn't it? Defenders beaten again. Rio Dyer and Tane Basherman joined fifth. Surprising. Ioan Lloyd's down seventh as well. So doing quite well. Cam Winnett, 10th. Morgan Morris again. You would wonder, wouldn't you? Wales need all the talent they can get at the minute. Surprising. Carries, most carries again, and likelihood dictates the more you carry, the more successful carries you are likely to get. Um, but I mean, putting your hand up and saying, I want the ball is ballsy as well, because, there's lads waiting to smash it. Christian Telly looks like quite a talent. Him and Simone Agassi, two very good players for Zebra. Because you think to yourself, they'll mostly the Italian team will be made up of Benetton and players from elsewhere. But it's good to see that both the Italian teams are doing quite well. It makes for an exciting tournament. There's nothing worse than a foregone conclusion, and I think we have more competition this Six Nations than ever before. England are unknown. Ireland are expected to do big things, but have an unchanged squad that's quite old and boring. So you don't really know. I'm hoping that they can pick it up from the autumn series, but I'm not sure if they can. I'm very nervous, and the more I check out that fixture that'll happen on Saturday, so 4 days time, I'm nervous. Got to say, England are looking like they're coming for blood, and Ireland look like they're not expecting England to bring as much firepower as I think they'll bring. I think Ireland are kind of getting a bit cocky, if I'm being honest. Um, but I do think we'll get over the line. By how much, I don't know. But Wales, I think are kind of missing out a chance to blood some young players as well. They really are. Morgan Morris and Cam Winnett leading the way. Neither of them are in the squad. No Alan Lawrence either. That's the Welsh Alan as well. Alun, for anyone who doesn't know. We have Ioan Lloyd again. And Thomas, but he's in there. Johnny Williams is English but plays for Wales, FYI. Angus O'Brien. A few Irish names in the Welsh team. He could have played for Ireland. Callum Sheedy. It was a choice to be made. He picked Wales. Bastard. He's a good player, though. I'm kind of surprised not to see him in the Welsh squad either. Feels almost like Gatland kind of accepts that they're going to lose. I would use this as an opportunity to blood a load of young players. But what do I know? Yeah. He's back, Magnus Bradbury. I was wondering where he went for Scotland. He seems to be a decent enough back rower for them. FYI, Wales have more foreign born players than Ireland. Ah, there we go. And Scotland, I think, have the most. Yeah, they do, actually. Um, but foreign born means just born outside of Wales, but it could be England, and you've both your parents are Welsh. So it cuts a little bit of slack, but they've been giving Ireland a lot of grief for having foreign born players. We actually have some of the fewest, but ours are Antipodean, so there's no Irish heritage there. They qualify more in residency, whereas with Wales, it's guys that were born, say, in England or Australia to Welsh parents. So a bit different, I know. Just saying, you want to get technical. Yeah, most tackles made by Teddy Williams and Alan Lawrence, two of the top tacklers, and Will Davis King has the best tackle success. Wow, how many are we talking out of? Then we have, which is really good, we have four Connacht players, but JJ Hanrahan is a fly half and Sam Illo is a prop. So how many tackles are they really making? Your back rowers are going to be making a lot, which we see there. Josh McLeod, Gavin Coombs, Teddy Williams, and Alan Lawrence. They're going to be making more. And as I said in the Ireland video, naturally they're going to be missing more because they're making more. They're putting themselves out there. Yeah, Isakar, he's a back rower as well. Sam Lewis, he's a second row. Second rows often don't get the credit they deserve, and I know because I've played there in other positions. Jac Morgan again, like Rory Darge, John Hudson, yeah, back rowers just shows you the work rate. But Sam Lucy doing well too, leading the way for us second rows. Kind of a hybrid second row. I can play both. Feel like it's a position where you push in the scrum, you lift and jump in the line out. You also commit, like you make a lot of tackles. Some games now you'd be rucking more and you'd be tackling or you'd be carrying more, but you do it all. And you have the push in the tight five, which the back row don't have to worry about. Definitely an unappreciated position. And when the scrum is won, it's the front row that won the scrum. The scrum. Yeah, the front row get all the praise when the scrum gets won. But when the scrum gets lost, it's the second row's fault, of course. Yeah, it's them that weren't pushing hard enough. It's the old joke, isn't it? But they make way more tackles than the props. Um, Less than the back row, but they're not far off. They also have to lift and jump in the line out because they're tall lads, but they're also bigger. So they do it all. And I've played there for many years. Favorite position is number 8, but I've played second row more than any other position because my coach was like, "Yeah, I want you to go in there." That's the thing. Nobody wants to play second row. I didn't mind it though. If I had to play there, I wouldn't mind. It's a position I know. It's can be unrewarding though. You have to do the work that gets unseen and unappreciated. Yeah. As I say, Wales often produce some very good back rowers, so good tacklers naturally with that. Defensively, like you expect it to be good, and I thought Scarlets were leading the way actually in the best defense, but not on the table, which is surprising. Usually think the more tackles you make, the better, but Elliot D has good tackle stats, but he's a hooker. Depending on what kind of hooker you are, don't know how many tackles you're going to be making. I would be looking at the guys who are making the most, who are also in this list, because that's even more impressive. Bradley Davidson. No, I'm thinking of Bradley Davis. Yeah. See, a lot of the guys making the most tackles are also aren't on this list because they're making more. They're bound to miss at least one. But Rory Darge is up there, so that's pretty good. And then Luke Crosby. Yeah, not bad, not bad. Thomas Clarkson, but he's a tight head prop, so and when it's losing a lot of turnovers, but he also has a lot of clean breaks, so means he gets away from the defenders, and there's nobody in support with him when he gets tackled. You know, Giving the ball back. Rio Dyer the same. Santiago Cordero again. Santiago Cordero has just been one of those really disappointing signings because you know how good he can be, but he just hasn't really lived up to that hype. We know how good he can be. We want to see it. Yeah, a lot of these players like Darcy Graham breaks a lot of tackles and gets away. So you expect Louis Lina as well, son of Michael. So he's definitely son of Michael. Sounds a bit biblical, doesn't it? Gibson Park, the guys who break out of tackles. I've also watched Warren Gatland and Llewellyn Zass. They tend to get through a lot of tackles, meaning that they will get naturally isolated from their attackers. If they get tackled, then it'll be easy for someone to jackal the ball, get over it and steal it. Turnovers one, we have a Welshman in joint first with an Italian, Manuel Zuliani, Dan Thomas as well, Shane Lewis Hughes, Justin Tipperick, also not selected for Wales. Geez, fair play to Sam Lucy, like loads of tackles, but also loads of turnovers. And then Josh McLeod, Josh McNally. Literally, I think every single one of these players that I'm naming is not in the Welsh squad. Except Jac Morgan, but he's all the way down in 15th. And you naturally expect Ty Byrne to be up there. He gets over the ball so well. Caelan Doris is quite a few, 6. Ben Thomas gets over it as well. So like at centre, having someone who can get the jackal in. Some centres who are really good at that, and that's a really good weapon to have. You've got a centre who can get over the ball like another back rower, and I think they're very similarly built, especially a muscular type of centre like a 12 or a 13 that can just get over the ball. Fekatoa will be kind of like that, where he can get over and he makes good tackles. and that makes sense why he's up here at the turnovers. Werner Koch is like just super fit. He is the real life Tarzan. You see him bouncing around and jumping up, and he gets knocked to the ground, bounces straight back up. He's super fit. Sevens legend. You wonder if he can break into the Springboks side. Be good to see him in there. You know, he's a seems like a nice guy as well. I posted a comment on Instagram, one of his highlights going the real life Tarzan, and he liked it. So I shout out to Werner Koch. Seems like a good guy. Um, really good rugby player as well. Thank you for your like, sir. Appreciate it. And the defensive stats, though, the Welsh, that's what I'm saying. The Welsh back row are typically good, like Tane, Plumtree. You expect them to be up there, you know. The back rowers are always quite athletic for Wales. Kicking success, yeah. Ben Thomas, I thought he was kicking, but he's obviously not kicking that much, you know. Seems like Tina the Bear or Callum Sheedy's kicking a lot. But this is like success rates, so how much you're scoring versus how much you're missing. Ioan Lloyd is double the amount of Dan Edwards, so I don't get why they're not picking him. Oh, that's insane. Lloyd Evans went for a swim, getting a bit of surfer's drip. If you know, you know, you know. I made the mistake of showing my mom my videos, and she just keeps picking up on me saying, you know. Now I can't stop trying to correct myself every time I go, you know, and keep saying it without even realizing, you know. Right. Yeah. So like Yohan Lloyd is the most success. You know, the ratio of scored to missed is highest for him. That's what I'm taking this as. That's how the French did it. They were have to give credit where it's due. They were much clearer in their um, analysis. You know, they're really clear with how many have been scored versus how many have been missed. And Zach Henry was up there as one of the best. So just FYI, he's doing quite well. Reminds me of Aaron Lennon. Does anyone remember the footballer, the right winger for Spurs? Really reminds me of him. Really neat beard as well. You know, higher on the cheeks like I want. Not quite there yet though. So yeah, that is the Welsh team. Lots of omissions who are doing quite well in the URC stats. Ioan Lloyd, Morgan Morris, Tane Plumtree, to name a few, you know. Baffles me. It's really surprising. Um, yeah, not going to say much more on it because I think it's a foregone conclusion that game. I hate to say it, but I think Wales are going to get absolutely battered by France. I think the French are going to steamroll them. You heard Adam Jones there when I was reading it out saying you want to silence the crowd, but I don't think that's possible. They want to get up to a good start, start off as they mean to go on, but I cannot see them outplaying this French team. You know, they have old players who used to be good who aren't as good anymore. And Liam Williams and Josh Adams, they were very good, but they're not at the same level that they were at before. And then you have young players who are inexperienced and the likes of Dan Edwards, who, yeah, lots of potential, but they haven't done it yet. Then in that scrum, they're going to be tested. I don't see them winning any scrums. I see a lot of scrum penalties for France. I just don't fancy that front row for Wales at all. I don't think it's nearly as good as the French front row, put it that way. And they're going to be tested. It's going to be a bad day at the office for Warren Gatland, I think. And yeah, I'm trying to see some positives in the back row. The second row could be good. Some excitement in the back line, but I can't see anything less than a French win with a bonus point. 47-12 is what I said. That was my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. It's uh, it's not going to be pretty for Wales. The Welsh fans will be shouting out Cymru and byth, but as loyal as they are, the rugby for Wales has dropped off significantly since the glory days. And still can't wait though to see it. And hopefully Wales can pick things up and be like the Welsh team of old. Not against Ireland though. That's the kicker. You know, we want them. which is weak against us, especially because we have to play Wales at home in the Millennium, which I'm sticking to. It's the Millennium and always will be. Um, Take care, guys, and gonna finish off with Scotland and Italy, and that will wrap up my analysis of the Six Nations squads for 2025. Good luck, guys. Slán go fóill.